Hi and welcome to ThePrint. My name is Karanjeet Kaur and I'm a journalist and an editor. Today I'll be reading you some excerpts from my column on Fado and its enduring legacy in Goa. A cool December breeze whispers through the doors of a stately Asagao villa and I find myself enveloped in complete darkness, all goose flesh and eyes pricking with tears. The Goan winter, typically balmy, isn't to blame, but I'm in the grip of a sorrow that I cannot name or pin down. In the dimmed room, time holds its breath as Nadia Rebello's haunting Fado ballad pierces the air. Even though I cannot understand the Portuguese lyrics, the raw, undefinable emotion in her voice transcends language, holding me captive. I'm surrounded by other Fado enthusiasts, but we all might as well have been all alone, each of us floating solo in a river of unnamed longing. A few weeks later, I find myself in a starkly different setting. A brightly lit lecture hall at Goa University, about 25 kilometers south of Asagao. The room buzzes with energy, filled with students ranging from 10 to 65 years of age. The hall is a far cry from the enchanted evening in Asagao, but the enthusiasm here is palpable, despite the drowsy post-lunch hour. At the podium stands Goa's award-winning fadishta, the ever-smiling Sonia Shirsat. With infectious passion, she explains the nuanced differences between the Lisbon and Coimbra styles of the Portuguese guitar, which is an integral part of the Fado. The theory lessons are engaging enough, drawing questions from around the room. But they're merely a prelude. It's when Shirsat invites the class to join in singing a Fado that the room truly comes alive, to the definitive thwack of notebooks slamming shut. From dimly lit living rooms to bustling university halls, the sounds of Fado resound through Goa. This wistful art form has woven itself into the fabric of Goan culture, flourishing far from its Portuguese origins. In its purest form, Fado, which is loosely translated as fate, is performed by a solo singer. It is accompanied by the soft but insistent strains of the Portuguese guitar and the classical guitar. A solitary fadishta, who is often envisioned draped in a lacy black shawl, pours their heart out into verses that focus on seafaring beloveds, tragic romances, and the vagaries of fate. Emerging from the streets and smoky taverns of early 19th century Lisbon, Fado found its primary Goan audience in the refined parlors of the Portuguese-speaking elite. As local radio stations began to broadcast these melancholic tunes, Fado's reach expanded, captivating a broader swathe of listeners. The defining characteristic of Fado is an undefinable sense of loss, or Saudade. It's an emotion that seems at odds with the sunny, carefree image associated with Goa. Yet, anyone who has experienced the state during its moody monsoons will intimately understand the essence of Saudade. Shirsat likens it to a cathartic sigh. Fado is a very soulful genre, she told me during an interview. It leaves you with a sense of heaviness, but also a kind of calm. This feeling of catharsis continues to surpass language barriers, transforming Fado from a colonial import into a living artifact of the state's rich cultural history. That's largely due to the efforts of artists like Shirsat and Rebello, who is a part of the ensemble Entre Nós, along with other musicians Omar de Loyola Pereira and Selvan Menezes. Shirsat performs at various events around Goa, including Saudade Goa's extremely popular monthly Fado night. Entre Nós, meanwhile, teamed up with Schubert Fernandes to produce Sounds from Goa, an intimate event that introduces audiences to Goan food and music, all set in a heritage home. For these performers, Fado is more than a genre. It's a deeply personal expression of Goan culture, steeped in their own experiences of growing up in the state's music-filled households. Rebello's father, for instance, is a drummer. Her mother is a ballroom dancer. And her sister trained her for music competitions growing up. Shirsat might have studied to be a lawyer, but she also grew up participating in competitions. And she says, winning them was my only vice. And she was introduced to Fado by her mother, who would sing it while doing her chores. Shirsat went on to win Vem Cantar, the very prestigious Portuguese singing competition in 2006, and traveled to Portugal on a scholarship to train further in the genre. Pereira's uncle handed him a guitar when he was about 7 and taught him to play his first 2 chords. And he even instructed him to play Happy Birthday for his father the following day. He told me, I had no idea I was musically inclined until then. But the moment I held that guitar, it was as if I was possessed. Pereira now also directs 2 local choirs. These personal journeys are not unique in Goa, where music is as pervasive as the salt in the air and permeates every aspect of Goan life. You'll hear it in the strumming emanating from a local dive bar in the evening, in the brass bands that are fixtures at traditional Catholic weddings and Konkani musical shows. It's in the live singing accompanying Sunday brunches, in the competing narkasurs around Diwali, and the foot-thumping Lorna performance that rounds off the carnival in Samba Square. So central is music to Goan life that it prompted Pereira to say about the corporate career he gave up before becoming a full-time musician. I was making a living, but I wasn't really living. It is this musical landscape that has nurtured so many talents over the years and offers a fertile ground for Fado to thrive, even as it evolves and adapts to the local context. Goan Fado artists are now infusing it with new life and meaning, finding innovative ways to ensure its continued relevance and reach. Shirsat, for instance, has experimented with the sitar and infused a few performances with a Hindustani classical raga. Similarly, events by Sounds from Goa offer a unique blend of Goan musical traditions, starting with a lively Mando performance before transitioning into Fado's solemn, dreamy world. This carefully curated journey highlights the interconnectedness of these different forms and how the state's history has shaped them. Even as Fado evolves and adapts, its essence remains unchanged. As Pereira notes, the scarcity of Portuguese guitarists in Goa has led to a lot of Fado being sung in a non-purist style. This includes instruments like keyboards or mandolins that stand in for the traditional Portuguese guitar. Yet, the emotion that the music evokes continues to captivate audiences, speaking to connections that elude definition. As Shirsat so eloquently puts it, you are born a Fadista. You cannot be made one. Eventually, it doesn't matter whether Fado is sung with a Portuguese guitar or a sitar, in a dark taverna or a bright classroom. What matters is that the spirit that animates it is alive and well. Fado will always have a home in Goa, where it can connect us to the past, our present, and maybe even to each other.